Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever, whenever you are listening to this. Welcome. Today, I have got a fantastic guest on the Power Platform Today show. I have got Chris Huntingford. Now, he's come up a few times in previous streams, as anyone that's following along has almost certainly heard. He is You just need to say Huntingford in the world of Power Platform and people know who you're talking about. So I won't say any more. I will just bring him on now. So, Chris, you're live. Welcome. Please introduce yourself to anyone that does not know who you are. I mean, there might be one person out there.
That's a hell of an intro, man. Thanks for having me. Yeah, I'm Chris. I guess my role is a lot of things. I work for two companies. So I work for A&S Group in the UK, and I work for another place called Cloud Lighthouse, which is really, really interesting. That's with my good friends. And yeah, I get to run around doing all sorts of things like AI, data, and all of that. But I guess that's the worky stuff. The really fun stuff is I'm a total travel nerd. So I've been this month I will have gone to 6 countries.
Jesus. What?
Yeah. So it's I've just got to get this right in my head, man.
You know that we're in May, right? We're not talking in May,
Yeah,
surely, because this is the
I'm
6th.
I'm good. I'm talking in May. So if I go backwards, it'll be Croatia, Slovenia, Switzerland, Italy. Then I've just come from Denmark, and I've just come from Hamburg. There we go.
I'm getting jet lagged just listening to that. Christ.
But it's pretty cool. Yeah. So like I get to run around. But yes, I'm a large South African dude. Been pals with Reese for a while, and yes, I'm super stoked to be here. So thank you for having me, man.
It's a pleasure, absolutely a pleasure. One of the things I do like to ask people in this, because we talk community and Power Platform, basically.
Yeah.
I like to ask people how they first got into the community of the Power Platform. The Power Platform side kind of falls into it as well, but I'm interested in the community sort of aspect. What was your first stepping stone into community?
It's Bibby's fault. No, so it's actually quite an interesting one. I do a keynote on this actually. My friend Matt Snecker gave me the opportunity to do it in Color Cloud last year, but I basically found community because I got to the UK in around 2013. I didn't really know anyone. So, I mean, my sister was here, but I didn't really know anyone else, right? So I was like,
Mhm.
okay, um, like I don't know where to go to make friends. Like I was fine with making friends, I just didn't know really where to go, right?
Mhm.
And also because I didn't have any money, like I had no money to get around, dude. Like I was literally doing some pretty sketchy things on trains to get to where I needed to go. Um, so yeah, I kind of found that the best. I was at Microsoft a lot, right? So I was at Thames Valley Park, and I heard that they were doing this thing called a user group. So I was like, "What's a user group? Sounds cool." Um, so I went there, and I'd also started to write blog posts for some unbeknown reason. I wrote 10 blog posts and thought they were dumb, so that was that. But I went to this user group and I saw all these people presenting stuff, and I was like, actually, this is pretty fucking cool, right? Like, I think this is pretty cool. Then I went to another one with Scotty, so it was Scott Duro, Bibbs, a couple of other people. I can't remember the timeline. Like, the
Mhm.
timeline is very sketchy. But Andy said to me, dude, you should present something. I was like, oh, okay, I'll like, this sounds cool. I reckon I'll get on stage, terrified as anything, and present something. So I'm like, what do I present? Like, what do I know? I don't really know anything. I know dynamics. I love dynamics. I did that in South Africa for years and years. And then I found social engagement, right? So I thought that that was a cool thing to present. But this is weird, right? First ever user group was the Birmingham user group. So Bibbs is like, dude, just get up there and tell you do your thing. Like, just do the Chris thing. I was like, okay, I'll do the Chris thing, right? But I didn't realize my fly was down. So I stood up in front of all of these people, but like yelling about social media, then realized my fly was down. They didn't turn around to do it up. I announced to the whole audience, I'm like, oh shit, my fly's down. Did it up, went blood red, carried on with the presentation, and yes, my friend, that is that. But it's been pretty cool because I think what I learned is that this group, this community, are very much okay with like you coming in, just doing your thing, trying new stuff out, and actually very supportive.
Mhm.
And I had very good mentors. Like Scotty, Bibbs were amazing to
Mhm.
me. They were absolutely amazing. And then Sarah Critchley as well, absolutely awesome. And then yeah, so I learned that, and I was like, screw this, I'm gonna go and do this as often as I can. So quite literally, every user group I started like going to and stuff. And then there were times when people didn't arrive to present. So like they asked me to present. I'm like, okay, I'll just go do the same thing. So I did. I was like running around just doing these presentations, and then people started phoning me up. So like Janet Robb,
Hmm.
um, she gave me a speaking gig at D365 in the UK, in London with Raz
Yep.
and Mohammed.
Hmm.
That was amazing. So I got to present with Will,
Hmm.
and then yeah, dude. Then I got invited to Dublin, and I started trying new things. But I have to say, like this community is so supportive, and I've made the most amazing friends, including you, through this group of people. So yeah, that's the kind of shortish story that I've kind of rambled on about.
Well, I mean, that's where we met, was in Dublin,
Yeah.
D365 Dublin. A drunken Chris. That was,
Yes.
was railing against
Yeah.
the MVP program at the time, I remember.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely, man. I've got a lot to say about a lot of things, man. My rule of thumb here, okay, I'll tell you my rule of thumb, is that like I can't just deal with the fact that something has to be normal or like a standard process. Like there's always something that I'm gonna like rail against, right? There's always something that I'm gonna. So right now it's responsible AI, right? I'm like giving everyone shit about responsible AI because literally that's just what it is, dude. Like I can't just accept the fact that things are normal. So that's just, I don't know why. Like it's the South African in me, you know.
The contrarian.
Yeah, that's what it is, dude. I can't just accept it. So yeah.
I mean, it's a way to do things. Certainly, it's working for you.
Yes, yes, it is.
Cool. So why are you traveling to so many countries? Is it just continuing this user group continuously, basically going to every conference and every speaking gig you can get to?
No, it's a little weird, right? Like probably in the last sort of I had a bit of a flip in the way that I do things, right? And it was probably around 2 years ago where I was going to conferences to socialize, right?
Yeah.
Like that was my thing. So I was going to socialize. Like I got out a fair bit, but after COVID, I'm like, screw this, man. I'm gonna go see the world, right? And I want to go and socialize with my friends. So I was doing that,
Hmm.
and then probably Dynamics Minds like 2 years ago, I was going through a really hard patch, right? Like a really, really difficult patch, just like quite depressed, quite sad, but like just going through the motion of doing conferences, drinking a ton, and kind of not really doing the actual work.
Yeah.
And I wanted to change my career. So I had some very, very cool people help me out.
Cool.
And let's basically say I had like a complete switch in the way that I do things, right? So now, like, I'm very much on the conference circuit to do keynote gigs. I'm very much on the conference circuit to like bring new people in to share knowledge, also to be controversial. Like, that's not going to change,
Hmm.
but in a very different way, right? Which is cool. So I'm directing a lot of my controversialness to to stuff that I think matters,
Yeah.
right? Rather than just ranting. So that's what's been happening over the last 2 years, and I will tell you, I've been so lucky because I've been given a lot of opportunity.
Hmm.
Like, so Matt Snecker gave me my first keynote gig, and I was like, oh, okay, cool, this is awesome. And then I got one from my friend Vivian at
Hmm.
Town Hall, Cloud Town Hall Talent with Yannick. Talent at least. I mean, yeah, dude, people have just started messaging me now and like saying, hey, do you want to do this? Do you want to try that one? I've also been quite brazen, so I've asked some organizers, I'm like, hey, do you have a speaker? Can I give this a go? And they're like, yeah. So it's
The
really,
thing
really
is,
cool.
I firmly believe in that. There's a saying that has, I think, been attributed to Nick Faldo or some famous golfer, which is when a reporter asked him, "You seem to be quite a lucky golfer," and his response was, "You're right, I am quite lucky, but I do find that the more I practice, the luckier I seem to get." And it's kind of it's getting yourself into the
Yeah,
position to be asked. So putting yourself out there, being out there, actively doing the work, means that you then
yeah,
get noticed, and that's where it comes from. You can't be sitting back and just hoping people are going to reach out if you're
yeah,
not going out and doing it yourself. And you do have to reach out and ask as well. I think that's a lot of people
yeah,
don't think about that or are too polite to do it. It's just that's part of what you have to do. You just have to ask because I think
yeah,
in some ways the people that are being asked find it refreshing because they're doing a job as well. They're trying to get
yeah,
people. So it's I definitely for anyone out there that's listening, anyone that's actively trying to get into this world, just
yeah.
push, just get out there.
Yeah. There's an incredibly funny story I'm going to tell you. It'll be a quick one, but okay.
Don't
So
make it quick.
one of the
We've got 40 minutes at least. Go for it.
oh, nice. So one of the guys that intrigues me a lot, dude, and I know like a lot of people won't agree with me this, but I've actually like I've followed him, and I think, albeit him being a lunatic, he's a genius. Is Steve-O, and I'll tell you why. Okay, so yes,
Wait,
like
are
the
we talking
Jackass thing.
Stevie Jackass? All right, okay. He is
Yeah,
a
yeah.
lunatic, but he is awesome.
But I will tell you why I think he's clever.
Yeah.
Okay, so first of all, that dude was never gonna make it famous, right? But what he did was Motley Crue was staying in Vegas. Okay, and he was like doing the Jackass thing with I think Matt Damon's brother and a bunch of other ones like Bam and everyone.
Hmm.
And he was like, screw this, I want to meet that band. I want to be on the stage with them. So he's like, you know what he did? He phoned every hotel in Vegas masquerading as some like, I don't know, some guy. And I watched an interview with him and I thought it was brilliant, right? And he found them and he ended up actually like getting into the room and stuff and doing the Steve-O thing. I think he did the backwards somersault with the flames. And they called him on stage to a Motley Crue concert to do that. And he did it, dude, and he got noticed.
Yeah.
And what was real interesting was that he's quite interesting, right? Like he's taken his career in a different place, but now
Yeah.
he's doing stand-up comedy,
Hmm.
but he's not very good. Okay, but and he also knows, he says, he's like, I'm not the smartest guy ever. So if you guys are gonna heckle me, I'm gonna kick you the fuck out, right? Like that's how it's gonna happen. And because he doesn't know how to retaliate, like
Yeah.
his comedy's funny, but he doesn't have that like Alison Mulligan-esque like sharp wit sort of thing. He's like very he can't respond in the way that you might want a comedian to respond. So
Yeah.
he warns you in the beginning of the show. Okay. And there was a heckler behind us. Alison Cookie and I went, there was a heckler behind us, and he did get kicked out. And that I was like, that is genius. You know why I think it's genius? So when I go in front of audiences now and I talk to them, like I actually say to them, I'm like, okay, we've got a couple of options here. Either I can be like super straight with you and I can give you like the real Chris story, or I can give you kind of what you're hoping to hear from a very basic presentation. And when the minute you engage that way, and they're like, yeah, because I always have two versions in my head, right? Every single time. There's like the more formal version, which gets done a lot, by
Hmm.
the way, it's important. But then there's the not more formal version. There is a stage for it. Whenever I deploy that version to the right crowd, dude, and that's how Steve-O does it. And also, he went through that process of like learning that that was what he was about.
Hmm.
And I felt like in the last 2 years, that's what I've learned. I'm like, I can do the very formal thing, which I do,
Hmm.
and it's important, but also, dude, there's a very particular audience that love this like gritty, brutal, direct approach. And
Yeah.
actually, I can do both, and I've learned that.
Nice.
Yeah,
How did
pretty
you
cool, right?
learn that? Was this something that was just like a sudden moment one day that you just sort of were standing on a stage and realized, or was this some painful experience you went through to get to
No,
that?
no.
Or was
So
it mentoring?
yeah, it was mentoring.
Okay.
There was mentoring to it, right? But like you'll notice, like I've changed my whole outfits. You know, I dress the part that I want to dress. Like I've realized that I love color. I love to just be out there, right? And that's part of it, right? It's
Yeah.
just that whole realization that actually I don't need to wear a t-shirt and jeans. Like I can look the way I want to and I can behave the way I want to. And I started learning a little bit more around how to relay that to people. So I started asking. I just started literally asking the questions. So I started off by framing it. Do you want the Tarantino version or do you want the regular version? And there was a point where I had a call with a customer, and this was ages ago. And I gave them the Tarantino version without asking, and they didn't like it. They were like, "It's the only time it's ever happened," and they were like, "No, this is too much." And I'm like, "Well, dude, you're wrong. So this is how it is, right?" But that was a bit humbling, right? So I was like, "Okay, that's a good lesson to learn.
Mm.
Put that in your back pocket." Also, I've learned that like there are certain days my EQ isn't on form, and I can feel it, right? So there's some days that if I'm going to do a keynote, I've got to be careful about how I speak. But yeah, it's just been training, right? Like for the last 2 or 3 years, it's been going through the process of learning how to say things. And I don't always get it right, but
Yeah.
I prefer the honest approach. I prefer the direct, this is how shit works approach.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. I
Yeah.
think it's personally, the idea of small talk annoys me.
I hate it.
I love getting serious with people quickly because small talk to me is a waste of time. I really, really want to get to the meat of things. I want to ask the question,
Yeah.
and I think too many people are scared. I don't know what it is. It's social. I think you're taught not to ask the question that you want to ask, even though that would actually help everyone. Like this whole meeting new people. Like we
Yeah.
moved a few months ago, and just getting to know people in the area. I kind of just want to go up to them and just like knock on the door and be like, "Hi, I'm your neighbor. How you doing? Can we,
Yeah,
go do something?"
yeah.
But I keep getting told that's not the way to do things, so I've got to kind of
I don't
naturally
know,
fall
man.
into it. Uh, ah,
I think it's kind of cool to do that, like to take something over with you. You know, we did it with our neighbors.
mm,
You know, when we got here, luckily our neighbors, a cop and a paramedic. So I'm like, well, you will be useful one day. Um, but yeah, we kind of just said hi to them. Our neighbor across the road, we did the same. Like it
mhm.
was very, but the difference is though, we were all new into the
Yeah.
neighborhood because it's a new build. So it might be different, maybe
Well, no,
depending
so
on who
we
your
had the
neighbors
same thing
are.
because this is a new build estate.
Yeah,
So we have built a bit of a group of people on our streets because we
that's
moved in
cool.
around that same
Yeah,
sort of time. And that kind of gets to something that I've talked about on the stream
yeah.
before. I find I am such a socially awkward person in a set.
You
Yeah, no,
really?
I can't go in like I can't go into a pub and just start talking to people. I know some people could do that. To me, that is the definition
Yeah,
of hell. Um, but if I'm throwing a party like a flat party, I can invite anyone, and it
yeah.
will be great because I have a role there. My purpose is the host.
Ah,
And I
yeah, yeah,
need
yeah.
that
Okay.
role. If I don't have that role, I feel incredibly awkward. Hiding behind that role helps me to be less awkward. So it gives me something to do. So it's one of the reasons I love going to
Yeah,
conferences and speaking because I then have a role. I'm a speaker. I'm still awkward, but I still have a role there, and it helps me in that sort of
yeah.
environment.
I actually love that. I love the way but you and I have spoken about this before.
Mhm.
Yeah, because no, I totally understand what you mean, dude. Like as I've gotten older and I've valued more valuable interactions, not like the random, crazy party. I too have decided I actually don't like randomly just going into bars and chatting to people. I would have done that 3 years ago, no problem. Now I'm
Yeah.
like, if I'm in a bar that I don't know anyone, why the hell am I in this bar? Like this is a very bad use of my time. Like actually what I should be doing is not being here unless it's very rare, but like when I travel every now and then, like I'll be in a bar,
Yeah.
okay, on my own because I travel a fair bit on my own.
Yep.
But if I'm not doing that, I'm in the wrong place, man. I'm not going to go to a pub up the road to my house and sit on my own. Like no
Well,
way.
that's just a different stage of life, though, isn't it? I mean, you and I are very similar stages of life in many ways. You're a little ahead of me because you have older children and have
I'm
been
just
doing
old, bro.
that. We're both pretty old, but yeah. No, I think
The
that's
grays.
definitely a stage of life you get to that. But that also brings me to the other thing with yourself. The amount of stuff you do, I'm blown away by it. I mean,
Oh, it's a
I
lot.
for those out there at the moment, I apologize every now and again. I'm going on mute because I'm coughing. I'm not particularly well today, but I have to keep doing this because it's just something I have to do. But I struggle just doing this one thing on a weekly basis. You do, at my last count, you're doing spray painting. Like you're learning to do, well, you're doing spray paint art. You still
Yeah,
drum, I believe.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So
Not
and you
well, not
skateboard.
well, but
You, you're doing a
also not
degree,
well.
last I heard. I don't know where that is. That might be finished soon or it's still ongoing.
If I tell you, if I told you why it paused, you're gonna probably think I'm even more crazy. So
Doing more work. Well, probably
yeah,
to write the book, which I also have here.
yes, that's all right. Did you buy the
Of course I
book?
did.
Yes, bro, you bought the book. Well done, thank you.
Yeah, no,
That's very
I've
cool.
even started reading it, which is high praise considering I've got so many books on my shelves that.
Oh my God, don't worry. I'm just having severe imposter syndrome about that book at the moment. I'm like, what if I was wrong? Victor's like, dude, what is wrong with you? I'm like, dude, I don't know.
Thing is, I think that imposter syndrome is it's one of those things. I think everyone has it to a degree, and I would
Oh
argue
yeah,
that if you don't have it, then there might be something wrong with you. There has to be an element of that doubt, because if there isn't, then you're not going to keep trying to do more. If you don't
fair
have
enough,
that
man.
doubt, then I, in my opinion, that's a level of arrogance that's too far gone. Like you can't,
Yep.
especially in the world we're in the world of Power Platform and cloud service type stuff. Nothing stops. Like technology does
Mm,
not ever stand still. So if you
no,
think that you've learned everything and you are entirely the right person in that right moment and know everything, then there's something wrong there.
there's something very wrong. I tell people this all the time. Like I actually start presentations off like this. I'm like, okay, folks, I just have to tell you. The only person in this entire world that knows everything is my 8-year-old son Adam, because he told me. So if you have any jobs or anything going, just please let me know, because he would most love to have one. But other than that, dude, there's no way, man. Like it's there is a gift that we do have though. And the gift we do have is the ability to find things out.
Yep.
That's something that I deeply treasure, bro. And like I think that you are very good at it, and this, in fact, this community of people is actually very damn good at it.
I think that certainly in the world of IT, you've got a lot of people that
Mm.
have to solve problems continuously. And for me, consulting, the world of consulting that I'm in and that you've come from as well is about solving problems. But it's
Yeah.
essentially you are one Google ahead of everyone else, or one chat with
Oh yeah,
GPT ahead of everyone else at this point.
bro. We just know where to find
Yeah.
things, and like there are some people that are very good at the logic piece. Like you are very good at the logic piece. I'm probably less logical. I'm more like, out there, creative. I don't know. You're also pretty creative, so it's just I know my logic brain works in a different way to other people's, right?
Mm.
So sometimes I struggle to. So what might take somebody 2 seconds to find, like I was talking to Will Dorrington earlier, bro. That guy, he is so clever. Like he finds things like this. I'm like, how did you find that so quickly? But then I have a different approach to doing
Yeah.
things, right? So it's
I think
yeah,
and this is something that you learn so early on being a parent. Uh, every person is different, and I know everyone tells you this,
yes,
but it's not till you actually have kids and they meet with other kids that, and you meet other
uh-huh,
kids and other families, that you really sort of connect the dots and say, "Oh crap, they really are different." I mean, it's
yeah,
like it's amazing how many similarities there are as well. Like you must have had this as well, walking around supermarkets and shopping centers and things, and you'd hear a crying baby or a screaming child, and you're like, "What? But my kid's at home. They sound the same.
yeah.
They
Oh,
say the
dude,
same stuff." But in other ways,
yes,
they are so different. Like my son has his best friend is a few months older than he is, and he's at the level of just about reading the first Harry Potter book. And my son struggles
yeah,
reading a few words, and it's just those sort of things where you're just like
yeah.
you can't help comparing, but at the same time, you also have to realize straight away everyone's different. Everyone learns in different ways. Everyone does things in different ways, uh, and it's just something I have to continuously remind myself.
You do, you do. Like I can tell you right now, bro. Like you cannot, even with people. I don't like making comparisons. Like I'll make comparisons of work and things done, but what I've worked out through this whole like neurodivergent process is that it's very interesting to see how people react to things in different ways. And
Hmm.
like we're so used to reacting in this box. It's like, oh, so okay, here's an example. They have the runners, freezes, fighters thing. Okay, so if somebody gives you a fright, you either run, you freeze, or you fight.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm a like I go. I'm a fighter. But then Nicole gave me a fright the other day, and I did this weird gasp thing. I was like, and then I'm like, wait, hang on. Maybe that's not what I do. Maybe like in certain scenarios, that's not how it works. I know when there is a dangerous scenario, like I will go
Hmm.
forward. But if it's not a dangerous scenario, I tend to like back away. And I thought, actually, it's
Interesting.
so different. You cannot categorize people. You can't put people into buckets the
Yeah.
same way that they did in the past, because actually all the things around us have changed so significantly, and like the way we absorb things, the way we have conversations, the
Hmm.
words we use are so different. So it doesn't work the same anymore.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of research out there now that's it's starting to grow as well. That the idea of attributing a person to a label is just gone. I mean, there's lots of different labels,
Oh yeah,
but they're so contextual. Like even down to the introvert versus extrovert concept.
doesn't work.
There's a
Yeah,
massive argument to be had that says actually you don't have one view. There might be more of a leaning in certain places, but in certain scenarios, you can be an extrovert or you can be an introvert. It just depends on the scenario and your background,
oh yeah,
what's happening in that moment. Because even when you mentioned the fight, freeze, or flight to a
yeah.
moment ago, like for me, I remember, oh, I don't know, I can't remember exactly which birthday it was. I think it might have been my 30th. I decided that I would send a blanket message out to a whole bunch of people that I hadn't seen in ages,
Yeah.
and just be like, I want to have a party. I want to do this at a pub. This is the time. RSVP and let's go. And I had like 15 people reply, and like a lot of them were people like from school that I hadn't seen for ages.
Really?
Yeah, and it just randomly people were just like, yeah, that sounds good, and they
I
arrived,
actually
and
like that.
I was amazed. Like I felt great. I got there, and there were more people than actually replied, which then
Wow.
I freaked out because what then happened was I was in the pub. I'd booked it for like the 12 people or something that actually RSVP'd, and something like 40, something like not 40, like 16 or something arrived. So there's only a few
Yeah, yeah,
more,
yeah,
but
yeah.
there was enough that they were coming over and they're like at the pub they were saying, we don't have the space to how are we going to fit? And I was just like, I
Oh
froze. I
no.
literally froze because I didn't know what to do. Like I just in that moment, someone was asking me to do something. I'm just like, I
I
don't
don't know
know.
what to do.
I had no idea.
This way.
So one of the people that was there, one of the guys I know, he just took over and started organizing it all. And it was just so helpful for me because that, again, it's that social awkwardness thing like that. When I get put on the spot like that, God, I freak out. But like,
It's okay though.
yeah, but at like a conference, for instance, if I'm being a speaker, then that's
Yeah.
a different thing. I can absolutely tell people what to do, where to go, how to do stuff because I have a
That's
context
your
that
role.
makes sense. Yeah, and that's my role. And so in different
Yeah.
places, it's amazing the difference that it can have. Uh, yeah,
That
no,
is really interesting. That is really, really interesting, actually.
yeah,
Yeah, I've thought about that because when we had this conversation, the first, like the very first time, God, it was long ago, man, and we were talking about it. You always got me thinking about it because, like, I've never, like, I always agree that the role thing is important. So if somebody hasn't actively said to me, "This is what you get to do," I'm like, well, I don't want to step on people's toes, so I don't want to do it. But now I've gotten less fuck giving about it. I'm more like, you know what? If this isn't working, man, I'm either gonna say something or bail. It's one of the two.
yeah.
So it's like either a hell yeah or a hell no.
And that's I think that's something that it does come with experience, age, by other words. Because the other thing
Yes.
that I've read recently has been that there's been a lot of colloquial sort of evidence around it, but people are getting
Yeah, yeah,
happier as they get older. And the theory is
yeah,
that they get to a certain point that there might be a few things at play, but one of the things they've seen a lot of things. So in their life, a lot of things have
yeah,
happened. They've seen lots of good and bad things, and they are at a point where they're like, I just don't give a fuck anymore. And so
yeah,
as a result, they become happier because they don't have the baggage that comes with second guessing stuff. Uh,
yeah.
yeah,
I,
no,
I am I am infinitely happier than I was 3 years ago, dude, because I legit actually just I've gotten to a point now where I'm just like, you know what? This is small fry shit. I don't really care.
mm,
I mean, somebody said to me once, and like I don't agree with this completely, but it was an interesting statement. They said to me, there are less consequences as you get older. And I'm like, that's interesting. Are there though? And she's like, just like treat life in a different way and you'll notice that. And I have, by the way. And the consequences are still there. They're just different, right? Like,
mm,
it's not that they're less, they're just enforced more differently.
yeah,
And yeah, I just I found it a very interesting way of looking at it. And that was something that when I did start understanding it, I was like, okay, I actually like this a lot because I still care. I still feel responsible, which is really important. Like that
mm,
responsibility factor is really key. But actually, I feel responsible about different things and for different reasons. You know, so whereas before, like I would go out in a conference and be like out until 4 a.m., miss half the conference, then be like, okay, well that's fine. Now I'm like, no, I want to be there. I want to support my friends,
mm,
and I want to go and watch the keynote, and I want to be present, and I want to be available. And it's like very rare now that I'll have like a huge night before a day at a conference.
yeah,
And that's just purely because it's not consequences are in the consequences this time are different because they implicate me. Like I want to do well
yeah.
and I want to be there for my friends, not like, oh, I have a hangover. That's not a consequence. So yeah,
As for me, I don't drink anywhere near as much these days, simply because I just don't want that hangover. Having a
yeah, dude.
6-year-old kind of cures you of having hangovers in some ways.
I don't know, man. I still get them, and I'm still like, this is hard.
Oh yeah,
So
no,
yeah,
I'll definitely still have one every now and again, but it has to be for a good reason.
yeah, no,
uh,
mine has to be because I'm out. But it's just so different, dude. Like the whole perspective. Like I get actually angry. So if I go out and I've had a massive night and I don't feel super good in the morning, I'm like, that's been such a waste of a day.
Hmm. Yeah, no,
No,
I
that's
get that.
that's why I get mad. It's not like, oh no, I'm hungover. No, I'm mad because I'm missing out.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
in terms of that, then, is your sort of play now that you'll still be out late, you just will stop drinking at some point, or do you just leave at an earlier stage? Because
Oh no, I bail.
I was just going to say, I remember a conference not that long ago. In
Yeah.
fact, probably the last one I was at, where you were there, and then all of a sudden you weren't there, and it was still relatively early. And I
Yeah.
think it was, I think the rumor was you left just silently. You had an Irish goodbye, so to speak.
I do. Yeah, I do it all the time. So I've got this thing now where I've also realized I don't do well in like big crowds.
Hmm.
Okay, I used to love them. I used to love them because like, but I used to use booze as like a mechanism to dull everything. Now, because I want this, like, I want the interaction, like this interaction. I found that actually what I prefer doing is going to the party, like saying hi, seeing everyone, blah blah blah, and then going off with a smaller group and like
Yeah,
either hanging out or just hitting the hay.
yeah, yeah.
And
No,
actually, dude, I prefer that.
I 100% agree. Like, to me, that's very similar because
Mm,
I don't do well in the crowd at all. I just get lost in the crowd. So even within a crowd, I will find a smaller group. Like that's
yeah.
the South Coast Summit when I was there. We went to an after party,
Yes.
and it was someone's room. I can't remember. It was. I think it was
It was
actually one.
my
I
room.
was just gonna say. I think it might have been yours, or it was certainly one of
It was
the. I think it was one of the ANS or the Curve guys. It might have been the Curve, the one
it
I
was
was at.
no, it was also well, I know Will in there. I think it was Mike Chappell had like
Yeah,
a
I
proper
think that's
proper
it.
rager.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there was a lot of people in there, and
Yeah.
but that was in some ways that was the smaller group already because the whole
Yes.
conference that was a smaller group that fit in there, but it was
Yes.
still a lot, and so the only way I could focus on that was to then find a smaller group within there. So I spent quite a lot of time
Yeah.
talking to like three people in that room. Uh,
But that's cool. But
yeah,
that dude, that is fine. Hey, and actually, interestingly enough, it's through that type of relationship I found some of the best people. Like I
yeah.
found AJ that way.
Hmm. Oh
Like
God, yeah,
and that dude, yeah, that was. I mean, he bad. Yeah, but it's wild because actually that was a big deal.
yeah,
Like finding AJ was a huge deal because man, that guy he's been amazing, right? But that small group interaction now is something I value massively. And do you know who told me this would happen to me? And I didn't believe them, dude. Ben Volmer.
oh wow.
Yeah. Ben was like, I promise you, as you're gonna get older, you're gonna find that you prefer these smaller groups. And I'm like, bullshit. I love the party, blah 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 blah. Now I'm like, Ben, you're all right. And he knows he was right as well, right? That's the interesting part.
Good guy, Ben. He was one of the first people to make me feel comfortable in Dublin. Now, I wasn't there as a speaker.
Really?
That was the first one I was there, and I was there as just an attendee. And
Were
I
you just attending?
for that one, the next one I was speaking. But for that first
Ah,
one,
yes, yes,
where I
yes.
met you and a bunch of others, I was only just an attendee.
I didn't know that.
But that's when I met Mark and Ian, that then got me at Scottish Summit the
Yeah,
following year to speak. But when I arrived, I have this thing. Again, it's a sort of coping
yeah.
mechanism. I have to be early because I have
Oh,
to be
same
there
as
as
me.
other people
Yeah,
arrive. Because then again, it's almost like a purpose. I'm
yeah,
there. I'm not wandering into a room full of other people.
yeah.
I'm there helping. And that's something else you'll
Mm.
find. If I'm at a conference, I will be there unpacking boxes and asking, "Is there anything I can do to help?" Because
I
it
like it.
gives me something to
Yeah,
do.
you got like a quest. Yeah, you
Yeah,
got a thing to do.
yep. And I was there just milling around. No one was really about, and there was this
That's
guy, and he
interesting.
was just sitting there, and uh, he just started talking to me, and I was like, "Oh, hello," and we just chatted about stuff, and he was very pleasant and very friendly. And then it wasn't
Ben.
until I think much later on that I found out that that was Ben Fulmer. It wasn't even at that
Yeah,
moment that I knew, but he was just so welcoming and friendly.
he's cool.
Yeah,
Ben's cool.
he is.
Yeah, Ben is a very good guy. I didn't appreciate Ben in the very beginning because I was like, oh, it's Ben. Now I'm like, yeah, he's a wise dude.
Yeah, very
Yeah,
much so.
he is a wise dude. I find it interesting though, but I just think it's really cool how like people have changed and moved on in their journeys,
Yeah.
and everyone's doing something different now, I guess.
Well, so
A lot of people are, yeah.
Let's tack a different direction a little bit, just because
Yeah.
we've been talking a lot about how we got into this and reminiscing, which I'm sure lots of
Yeah.
people might be bored by. But I'm fascinated by the drumming specifically, and the
Yeah.
reason I'm fascinated is because recently I've fallen down a rabbit hole of drummio videos on YouTube.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah.
I have such admiration for that. Like, it's one of those things. I
Drums,
wish
man.
I had a musical instrument in my background. It's something I really should have done when I was younger, and I think that everyone should.
It's super fun, but dude, like I've been lucky, man, because I think like okay, so first of all, I didn't yeah. So drums are weird, right? Like I didn't actually know how to play drums for a long time. And then the I was at my school. It was an Anglican school, and I kind of learned the basic four beat by my one friend. So he taught me when I was in I don't know what it is in the UK, but it's like grade 11. So it's when you're around 17 turning 18. And the
Hmm.
guy died that year, right?
Jeez.
But yeah, shame. Lovely dude. I actually still have a picture of him. Check it out. I keep it with me. Yeah, he's one of the guys that was a significant
Oh
change in my
wow.
existence. Yeah. Pretty cool, right? That was at high school, dude.
Jeez.
Um, yeah, but one thing was interesting was he taught me the basics. And then I still don't play like crazy ass drums. I just like playing. I know how to play okay. But yeah, I just decided to pick it up, decided to learn it. I've never gone for lessons. I've like watched a couple of videos, but I listen to songs. So I'll like I'll put songs on here, and then I've got my drum kit over there,
Hmm.
and I'll just play.
Yeah.
And sometimes it sounds absolutely awful, and I'm like, okay, that's not a good beat for me. Sometimes I've got it right. Like it's just same with guitar. He taught me how to play basic rock on guitar, and then
Hmm.
after that, I just played. So it was never like a thing, right? But
Yeah.
those guys on Drumeo, that's like actual hard
Well, so
work. That's proper.
that's the
Yeah,
thing that I fascinates me about Drumeo or anything like that, where you're watching someone that is an expert in what they do. It's another
yeah,
reason why I enjoy conferences and people talking about stuff, because you're watching someone that is top of their game in many ways, and it's just fascinating and interesting. And I could sort
yes.
of align this with one of the reasons I enjoy watching any sport. I will watch almost any sport because I don't actually
Yeah,
care necessarily about the sport. I can get behind it. I enjoy the
I can get behind that
yeah.
sport.
I
Yeah,
enjoy the sort of the shouting. Yeah, just the feel, the emotion of the moment. But what really interests me is the commentators and how they pick things up. Like they talk about
yeah.
stuff and they're like, oh, they did this and that, and they're talking about what this specific technique, and you're just like, I'm sorry, what? I didn't see any of that from what you just said.
What's technique?
And the Drumeo thing when they're sort of talking about this, because for anyone that isn't out there, the Drumeo, the thing I'm talking about, basically what they do is they get a drummer on, a really well-known drummer usually. They will play a track to them, a musical track that they don't know. So they'll play a bunch of different ones until they hit one they don't
Yeah,
know. The music that is played to them has the drum track removed, so they don't hear the drums. And then they ask the drummer to basically come up with the drumming parts for the song. So they have to make this up on the fly. Now,
yes.
drumming kind of lends itself to that because you can work out a beat from the rhythm, and but it still amazes me when they do that. Like the one
So
Chad, bloody hell, Chad, the Red Hot Chili Peppers
Chili
drummer.
Peppers. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's one of my favorite drummers, dude.
he
Yeah.
just sat down. He started listening to 30 Seconds to Mars. I can't remember which song it was, and he took one take. He literally listened. Was like, all right,
Yeah.
okay, it's a three part. And
Yeah.
he played the whole thing, and it's just like, what the? And
He's
it's
amazing though.
oh,
So I
he's
read
stunning.
if you get a chance to read this book, read Anthony Kiedis' Scar Tissue. Okay,
Hmm.
it is by far one of the best books I've ever read because Anthony Kiedis is the lead singer
Hmm.
of the Chili Peppers, and he talks about like how they got going and how he actually got into the band and what he did to influence. It's very interesting, dude. He is a very, very damn good drummer, that guy. But remember, Chili Peppers effectively play funk, right?
Yeah.
Like, so you don't hear, like, you hear his drumming, but you don't know how good he is. Like, when you listen to Slipknot, you know how good Joey Jordison was, right?
Yeah.
Like, that guy. Or when you listen to Motley Crue, you know how good Tommy Lee was, right?
Mhm.
Because they given the opportunity to move.
Yeah.
But he was like a funk drummer. It's really interesting, dude.
Yeah. No, it is, and that's why I find those videos so fascinating because you do get these drummers on that are playing in
Hmm.
bands that they don't get the chance to play like that normally.
No.
What was it, the one I was listening to? It was the Five Sauce drummer, the five something of summer. Oh God, what are they called? 5 Seconds of Summer.
I know who you're talking about.
It's
Is
like a
it?
pop band,
Yeah,
but the guy that
yeah.
the drummer is a legit good drummer. And he
Yeah.
was like, he got given something crazy, and he played it really, really well. And he was like, yeah, and what I normally do, it's pretty easy. I just sort of tap this out, and he just started tapping out the sort of 4 beat, as you say, just like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
he's just like, it's good to be able to flex my muscles.
But that's why I say, dude, like when with these guys, like when you hear them playing a song, you can't assume that that's their vibe,
Yeah,
right? Because actually, some of them, okay, there's another thing you need to watch, and it's not only on about drums. Did you know that a lot of these like actual really good classic rock songs and all of that, a lot of the movie songs, they're all played by five guitarists.
really,
So
as in
there's
session
five main
guitarists,
guitarists, yes,
right?
and they play backstage. One of the guys, the guy from Five Finger Death Punch,
Yeah,
and he's like rocky guy playing like Disney tunes and stuff, like this heavily tattooed guy. It's a show on Netflix. I can't remember it, but these guys are all responsible for like the up and coming. So one of the guys plays for Pink,
Hmm.
the up and comings of like rock music for that genre,
Yeah.
right? Don't you think it's crazy? Like there's just this mob of people that run around just like jamming shit out, and you're like, wow, okay,
I do find that amazing because and I know of them because I watch a lot of TV shows. I love TV and
yeah,
film, and there was a show I watched which was all about a session guitarist, and the whole
yeah,
thing, he was a very, very tortured artist in some ways. Everyone knew he was the best guitarist on any stage. It was just,
yes,
and now it's a fictional show from what I remember, but it was based in the real kind of world. It was based on similar kind of people, and everyone knew the session guitarist was the best, and he just didn't want to do that. He didn't want the
yeah,
limelight. He was happy to be the person at the back supporting everyone else, and just having a good time because no one knew him. And so for him, he
yeah.
got to enjoy the music while also not getting all the crazy fame, which can ruin it. So that was, yeah,
Yeah,
it was very interesting, very, very interesting. But I
but
suppose
that's why I love these stories.
you can kind of align that to our little community in some ways as well, because you get the
Oof. I will. I'm gonna tell you a story very quickly.
uh
Okay, so you ready?
yep,
There is this dude, one of my favorite skateboarders of all time. His name is Jay Adams.
okay,
Okay, so now if you watch Lords of Dogtown, all right. So it's about Tony Elver, Stacy Peralta, and Jay Adams, and these three dudes from I think it's Cali. It's obviously California
yeah,
somewhere. I'm sure it is. I hope I'm not getting this wrong. Sorry, skateboarders. I love skateboarding. Um, and they effectively are surfers, right? And they learn to surf, and then these dudes get brought up into like the skateboard world.
yep,
So Tony Alva and Stacy Peralta like fall for the fame, right? So they like get on all the boards and shit, and they're like, oh, and Jay Adams doesn't. Like he becomes a bit of a washout. He ends up going to jail. But here's the thing, and I'll tell you who I said this to in the community, and I brought it up in a session. I'm like, there are people who invented all the tricks, right? They didn't get paid all the money. They invented all the tricks. They were the guys that came up, or the people that came up with the core, like the real
yeah,
messaging of what this is about. But they don't always end up on the big stages, right? And they don't always end up in the limelight.
hmm
And you're right, dude. There are people in our community like that. And one of them is Samir Bengar from Microsoft. So Samir is the guy that created all the Power Platform champs. He created the Power Platform
right,
Champions program.
yes,
Samet,
yep,
Keith, all of them. That was Samir. That
hmm
was his idea. And I don't think anyone knew that, right? So, like in a keynote, I called him out. I'm like, you, dude, are the Jay Adams of the Power Platform world. And let me tell you why. Isn't it? But you're right. Sorry, I completely interrupted you, but I got very excited when you brought it up
No,
because it's a
no, that
subject I
that's
love.
that is exactly it, and I think every community has different people. They have different types of people. It has to. If you don't
Oh,
have
yeah.
that, then you don't have a community. If you had only
Nope.
the, let's say, you only had the superstars that stood on stage all the time, then it wouldn't work. If you had only the followers, then it would never work. If you had only the people behind the scenes, it would never work. You have to have an eclectic mix, and I think that's something that the Power Platform community has managed to evolve into in many ways. I mean, there's obviously been support from Microsoft. They've pushed it in
Hmm.
many ways,
Yep.
and it's worked. But I think it is a core group of people. So I'm talking UK. I don't know much about the rest of the
Oh,
world. I
bro,
don't interact.
we still, I hand on heart think we still in England have got one of the strongest Power Platform communities globally, and in fact in UK. Like, I think that it's rivaled, right? Like, I think a lot of the stuff that was born in Power Platform, yes, it came from America, but I think it got fostered in the UK.
Mm,
I think that movement with Samet, with Keith, with Martin Lee,
yep.
with Simon, with all of those people, a lot of that Power Platform movement came from here, and also people like Eric and all of them in the States.
Yeah.
Like, but a lot of them came from the UK, and I feel like a lot of that was born here, and also in the when you look at the old Dynamics communities and the SharePoint communities, like this community is very vibey in the UK. Like it's a very much like party, get to know each other, very out there community,
Yeah.
and I think like that was a big part of it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, I definitely think that. That's the feeling I got from it. And the support. Like that supportive
Yeah.
part of it has definitely been a big part of why it's been great for me and why I'm still involved.
What do you love about it, dude?
What do I love about the community?
Yeah.
Okay, so professionally wise, you can find the answer to so many different things just reading people's blog posts and watching videos. I mean, that's how I started getting to all of this, was getting to know people by
Yeah.
reading their blogs. And then when I met them, that was a whole different story. It's just like,
Not
Christ.
reading your blog ever again.
No, it was amazing. Like that's the thing. You sort of read all these things, and then you just connect the face to the name when you actually meet them at a conference. It's like, oh, wait a minute. So that was the one side, was just sort of going out there and finding these people that were sharing knowledge actively and willingly, but then actually going to user groups, going to conferences, and meeting people and seeing that actually not only were they out there sharing their knowledge willingly, they were good fun to be around and good people to talk to, and so many different characters and so open. And so, I mean, like that Dublin. So I met you there. Obviously met Janet a little bit in passing. Certainly met Claire, Mark, and Ian from the sort of
man.
Scottish side of things. And then later on, I had dinner with two MVPs. And it's bugging me. I can't for the life of me remember the name. It was the guy that set up the Birmingham user group.
Yeah. Neil Parkhurst.
Yes, Neil
Yes.
Parkhurst and
Joe Gill. Very likely
yes,
Joe.
yes.
Yes.
So the three of us, they didn't know me, but what I would say was I had to like I was getting a flight and I just decided I was going to just stay up through the night. I wasn't going to bother going to sleep at that point. And they're like, all right, that's fine. Let's just go have some food. It's like, all right.
Yeah.
And so I just ended up sitting there. Never met them before. Had Chinese with them. They obviously are old friends, and
Yeah.
they were so welcoming and so friendly. It was amazing.
Yeah.
And that was
Those
literally
dudes have been
after
around, man.
that was literally after I had my drunken conversation with you. So
Wow.
it
So
was
yeah.
it
You
was
got the
quite
best
an
of.
introduction.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's those two. So they've been around, man. They've been around for a long time, and they've always been so supportive, dude. Like they for the community stuff, like I feel like they're two of the guys that have been incredibly supportive.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's cool, right? Because you know them, and you've seen their origins are like 10 years before us, man.
Yeah.
In these programs,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it blows my mind every single time I think about it. I'm like, damn, dude, these guys have been doing this a lot longer than me.
And
So
Joe's still actively, he runs the Dublin group, I think it is. And I think
yeah,
Neil did take a break for a little bit. He wasn't as active for a while, but I
no,
think he's back again. I need to find
yeah,
out actually.
they hauled me over there last year, so I did a session with them. So Nick Dolman and I, of all people, were like they hauled us over. Shidden and them are like, "Yep, you're coming to this thing." I'm like, "Okay, I'm down." It was freaking awesome, man. I love like Dublin's one of my favorite
Oh, it's a
cities in the
great
world.
place. Great place. I worked
Yeah,
with a partner in
yeah,
Dublin, so it's
yeah. I
love the
remember. Yeah,
place. Love it a lot.
it is very very cool. So yeah, I have a massive soft spot for that place. So if I ever get hauled back over there, man, I'm like, they don't even have to ask me. They're like, "Chris, do you?" I'm like, "Yes."
Well, I mean, Janet's talking about maybe trying to do something again in the island of Ireland, so we will see. We'll
Yes.
see. That would
She
be. I would
resurrects it,
definitely. I
man.
already said I'm up for it. Whatever it is, I'll do it.
Yes. That user group that I presented at in Dublin, dude, was one of my career defining moments because I came up with this demo of like nobody had done it yet, but like I was building model driven apps, Canvas apps, Power Automation and Power BI on stage in front of people, right?
Nice.
And it was a UFO demo, I remember. I still got the data set and I still use it. This was like fucking ages ago, bro. And that demo, I got hit up by so many people after that, and they were like, that is insane. Andrew Butenko invited me to Kiev to do the demo there.
Nice.
The same one. Yeah, it's my most popular session I've ever done. And then other people learned how to do it, and I'm like, screw you guys, I'm done. No, it's cool though. I'm glad that it It did get its airtime, but yeah,
Cool.
dude, it was a massive moment.
All right. Well, I think that's a lovely natural point to start closing
Yeah.
things down. Now, the last segment of the whole show is rapid fire questions. So I'm going
Oh
to
boy.
go through those. First one,
Cool.
favorite Power Platform service?
Oh god, Dataverse, dude, hands down. I have a
Good,
Dataverse tattoo.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I figured it would be. That's the one I had
Yeah.
you pegged for.
Yeah.
Favorite conference?
Oh no, don't do this to me. Okay.
I have to.
I'm not choosing, but it's gonna be between Dynamics Minds and Color Cloud.
So that is interesting because I think it was Lucy was recently was saying she said Dynamic Minds as well.
It's
I've never
it's
been.
like
I want to go,
dude,
but
I take leave for that event. I'm like, it's Burning Man Cross conference. Like it is possibly one of the greatest events I've been to. And then Color Cloud is now like
yeah.
it yeah. So
Color Cloud's Matt Snecker and co, right? Yeah. No wonder
yes,
that's good.
it's a very special event.
Yeah. Cool. Last music you can remember listening to.
Oh shucks. Probably Hollywood Undead. No,
Nice.
Corn. It was Corn or Hollywood Undead this morning at gym. Yeah, I don't listen to music at work.
No.
I need to zone. Nope, I need to zone. I can't do it.
Oh, wow. So I find that I can't do it if I have to write anything, but if I'm coding, I
Yeah,
still very much listen to stuff, and usually it's just a shuffle to playlists from YouTube on
yeah.
Offspring. That's kind of my jam when
I
I'm doing
like
that.
that. Yeah, yeah, dude. It's very similar. Like, if I was writing code for sure, but I haven't written code in long, so
I still actively try my hardest to do that.
you're a better man than me, man.
Podcasts or TV?
Well, this is not one of my favorites. So, I'm kidding. So oh god, okay, because I don't actively like listen to music during the day.
Yeah.
I wouldn't listen to podcasts during the day. I do, but I have to have. I normally want video,
Hmm.
but for TV, I don't actively watch TV either. I have it on the background,
Yeah.
so like I will have something on while I'm working. Or this is okay. I'm going to say the most middle class shit to you've ever heard in your life. Okay, number one, I have a Peloton tread.
Of course.
Okay, yes, because number two, I watch Netflix on my Peloton tread, and if I'm not reading something, so
You're habit stacking.
that, yes, I am habit stacking. That's yes, I am habit stacking. Love that.
If you had 2 hours with no other responsibility, what would you do?
Paint.
Paint. Oh, wow.
Yes, yeah, I do pour paints now. So I've got these big canvases.
Yeah.
I'll make you one, dude. You just like pour it on and you mix it around. Yeah, I made cookie one.
That's
Got like a
cool.
whole. Yeah, it's fun.
Nice.
And spray can. It's actually mixed medium. It's pour paint and spray can.
So do you spray and then pour, or do you pour and then spray, or
Yeah, so I spray.
Mhm.
And then what I do is I'll pour, and then I'll take like a heat gun or a hairdryer or something, and I'll mix it up. So like you can make some
Oh, wow.
very cool shapes. Yeah, I'll
Mhm.
send you some pictures, bro. They're a lot.
Awesome. Well, I mean, I do have some white wall to cover behind me, so
Bro, I will gladly make you one.
books or audiobooks?
Audiobooks.
Cool, nice and quick. Glass half full or half empty?
Half full all the time, man.
No one has ever
Yeah.
said half empty yet, but one person did say there's no glass. That was an interesting one.
Was that Janet?
I kind of,
Keith? Keith
I think
or
it was
Janet?
Keith. Yeah, I think it was Keith.
Yeah.
Oh well, this has
Sounds
been
like-
wonderful. Thank you very much, especially considering I've been ill today. This has been a wonderful
Oh, dude, I'm
end to the
sorry
day.
that you're feeling sick, but it's been so good to chat to you again, man.
I overdid it. I think it's literally because my wife said it, and to be fair, she's probably right. I spent 15 hours this weekend in the garden, digging holes basically because we're laying turf, and so I've had to
Yes.
rip all of the stuff out, and so it was a lot of manual labor. And on top of that, my son had an illness on Saturday anyway, so I was always going to get something, but I think the heavy labor just
Be
reduced my
careful,
body.
bro. Yeah, be careful, dude. We're not built for this nonsense anymore.
It's true, we're old people now.
Yeah, we are old people. We're old and frail.
Well, this has been
It's
wonderful.
unfortunate.
Thank you again,
No,
Chris,
dude,
for
thank
joining.
you.
Yes, I will definitely get you back in the future. I think I'm going to get a reunion show when I hit 50. I'm going to get loads of people back. 5 minutes for
Come
everyone.
Yeah, we'll come and bother you, bro. But I think it's really good that you're doing this, and thank you for being so engaging. And I think you are very good at this. You're gonna hone this, man.
I
I
I,
really
I
do.
enjoy it. It's something, and that's what they say, isn't it? It's if you would do it, even no one's paying you, you would still want to do it. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
This is for me. This is just enjoyable. It's talking to people, but it's the techie stuff. It's putting out, and the fact that it's live is the fun part. That's the part that I really
Yeah.
enjoy. So yes, thank you very much,
Well,
and
thank you,
thank
sir.
you everyone out there as well. Please do get in touch. The emails has been rolling at the bottom the whole time, and you can also get me on LinkedIn. But yes, with that, I will say goodbye, everyone, and good night.